Welcome back. We're here to look ahead to Sunday's game in the Premier League between Crystal Palace and Arsenal. Barnes will start with Arsenal. Absolutely shocking start to the season. 2-0 defeat to West Ham.
Yeah, couldn't have wished for a worse start really. When there was so much optimism surrounding the club going into that, everyone said they had a really good transfer window. They brought in Petr Cech and then he ends up costing them both goals. I think for the first one, he needs to take everything in front of him. He misjudged the flight of the ball. The second one, caught out of position, which is very strange for Petr Cech, it's got to be said. Maybe lacking a bit of match practice after a while out of the first team of Chelsea, but I still think he'll prove to be a very good signing. He'll get them a lot of points, but a nightmare debut for him and a nightmare start for Arsenal. They were so good at home throughout the whole of last season, even the season before that. So to lose the first game at home when there was so much optimism around the club, it's a real killer blow for them. I think, take nothing away from West Ham, it was a very good performance from them, but I think Arsenal were far short of their best. They weren't really as sharp as they usually are. Ozil just couldn't get away from Reece Oxford in the middle of the park, which is you'd think would be a massive mismatch. So it's just a really poor start for them.
Certainly, I think they were missing some real key cogs from last season, weren't they? I was surprised right back Debuchy got the nod. I mean, Bellerin, I think Bellerin's fully fit now. He should be able to probably come back for this one. That'd be a boost for them because he was a real star for them last season. But the big one, of course, is Sanchez, isn't it? You know, helped Chile win the Copa America, Chile's first ever international competition win. So he's obviously carried his Arsenal form from last season through the sun with the Copa America, and it's whether he's a bit tired now. He did come on in the second half against West Ham, and I think Wenger, maybe used him for a bit longer than he might have wanted to because he probably wanted to save him for this game because going to Palace is a very tough game here. But I think Sanchez, if he's ready to start this one, I'm sure he will because he was brilliant in his first season for Arsenal last year, and they certainly seem to miss him and his spark against West Ham because they just struggled to create much, and they'll be glad to get him back.
Yeah, there's one big question for Wenger is who starts up front. There's a lot of talk about Walcott starting the opening game of the season. He started the Community Shield, had a fantastic end to last season, scored a hat-trick in the final game of the season, started the FA Cup final ahead of Giroud as well. So that's a big decision to make. Giroud started against West Ham. You can understand that because of his physical presence ahead of Walcott, but I would think Walcott would start this one. He's been in good form. He looks sharp when he's going through the middle of the park. He's a handful to play against, and his finishing's improved a lot since his younger days. Giroud, there was a lot of talk about him everyone thought that he was too pretty to go out for the high balls. I don't think that's fair. He got knocked out going for one header. I think he put in a decent performance, but as everyone says, is he good enough to win you the league? I don't think Walcott is either, but I think they need maybe another striker. There's talk of Benzema coming in. If he does, that will improve them tenfold up front. But for this match, I think Walcott will probably get the nod.
So it's a bad start for Arsenal, but not for Palace. They got off to a winning start. Plenty of optimism around the club this summer, isn't there? A lot of good transfers they've made, and they went to Norwich on the opening day of the season. Norwich, one of the newly promoted clubs back in the league, and it wasn't the easiest game for Palace. They went in there, they started badly in that game. Pardew said at the end, it really wasn't a good start to the game, but they managed to get in front through Wilfried Zaha and then 2-0 through Damien Delaney. Norwich defended that corner badly, didn't they? The way that it was allowed to float through to Suarez coming in on the edge, and then they Delaney sticks it in. There was the controversy over Cameron Jerome. Norwich then getting a goal back, and they should have had a penalty as well. So it could have easily been a different result, but going there, getting a 3-1 win is quite impressive. Cabaye, him getting a debut goal as well right at the end, that's going to be a boost for them because Cabaye is a real coup for them to get him. It's a fantastic signing. Paris Saint-Germain, one of the biggest clubs in Europe. I know Cabaye wasn't a regular there, but for Pardew to convince him to come to Crystal Palace, one of the not smaller teams, but certainly not one of the biggest teams in the Premier League. It was a real impressive signing, and to win on the opening day away from home, great start.
Yeah, and the addition of Cabaye means that they've got a lot more options. The likes of Jednak didn't start, Balassi didn't start, and Balassi's one of the brightest players, one on form, maybe a bit inconsistent at times, but people tipped him to have a breakthrough season. He didn't start on the opening weekend. Jednak, who's their captain, one of their focal points of last season, one of the most important players, didn't start because Cabaye in that central role ahead of him. Be interesting to see how Pardew rotates throughout the season. He said after the first game that the opening stages when Norwich were bossing them that he thought he got the team wrong. So it'd be interesting to see what team he chooses this time, but he has got options now which they haven't had all the time.
Certainly, and some of the other players there on the bench, they had Connor Wickham, Patrick Bamford on the bench, these strikers as well, so certainly more options for Palace, and they'll certainly be really confident going into this. Arsenal, off the back of that defeat, they'll be desperate for a win here. What's your score prediction?
Arsenal need a response, and I was backing them to beat West Ham. I thought they'd have a good season. I think they will beat Palace. It's going to be a tough game. It'll be a close one, I think, but I'll go probably a 2-1 win for Arsenal.
So I'm going to go for a 1-goal win as well, but I think I see goals in this one. I think Arsenal, like you say, be wanting to bounce back, but they looked a bit fallible last week. Arsenal and Palace, they've got really good options, like you've said as well. So I think it's going to be a 3-2 win for Arsenal. So both backing Arsenal to win this one. Thanks for joining us.